Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Collector's Thoughts. I'm your host Joe, aka Respawn Granted. As always, my co-host Mike, aka Real Batman. How you doing today, man?
I'm having a great day.
Yeah, doing having a good day too, buddy. Good day too. Uh, um, yeah. We today wanted to do a video about like your collection setup, collection rooms, how people should set up or how they do set up their own rooms, and just personal opinion on it. Some people go based on size of figures, some people go based on brand or character. What about you personally, bud? Do you have a certain system you like to follow when you set up your figures?
I do. I do. It drives my wife crazy, but at the end result, she loves it. I There's a lot of people out there that stick strictly to one scale, and I'm not knocking on those people. If that's what you like, that's what you like. But to me, when you stick to one scale, whether it's 1/12 scale or 1/9 or 1/6 scale, to me it becomes too repetitive. If that makes any sense to you. Like when you have all the same size scale figures, like for instance, if you collect 6-inch figures, you need risers because if you put them in a detour or on a shelf, they're all, unless you got some of the bigger ones, but you're gonna need risers so you can see all the figures. For me, I have quarter scales. I have 1/6 scale. I have Playhouse Kai, which is 10-inch figures. Beast Kingdom, 8-inch figures. And what I do, and I have 7-inch. I have 1/12 scale, which is 6-inch figures. I mix them all up. And every shelf that I do, especially in a cabinet, I have to have a centerpiece. And the focal point to that particular shelf on each shelf that draws the main attention from a distance. And then you get closer and you realize all the other figures. Not that the other figures aren't good. It's just I want that focal point to every shelf that I have. Now, I can't do it with every single one, but for the most part, that's the technique I use because you don't need acrylic risers like that. You have the bigger figures in the back, and then you go on and on and on, and it creates that stadium effect anyway. But that's just the way that I do it.
Yeah, no, that's good. But now the thing is, I know with me personally, I try to sometimes do almost like I agree with what you're saying with the figures. You put the bigger figures in the back and you put the smaller guys in front. But I also have this thing where I kind of like to do almost like a theme. So it'll be like I try to put like the Spider-Mans together, the Batmans together, stuff like that. Um, I find though, it's a more difficult to do that when they're in packages because like right now I'm in the process of rearranging my figures downstairs, and like the Funko Pops are one size in the box. Then I have ones that have like figures that have the cardboard backs, and then you got McFarlane's, and they all have different packaging. So you can't really use that theme for the ones in the boxes. So what I tend to do for the ones in the box, I kind of go more based on like the brand. So I have like all my Batman Funko Pops together, and then I have another shelf for the other Batman stuff, or same thing with Spider-Man, because the packaging, it just makes it much more difficult to try and make them all fit in a certain way. You know what I mean?
With DC, Marvel with Marvel as well, and TNT. Like I try to go because the room that I have is not big enough where I can do like MCU figures and then for Marvel and then do the comic stuff separate. So for the most part, I try to do that. But when you're tight for space, I just go by overall theme. Like this shelf is all Marvel. That cabinet is all Marvel. And then I do have shelves like back there that is just Wolverine and just Spider-Man because Wolverine, Spider-Man, Punisher, those are my three favorites for Marvel. So I try to keep those specific three by themselves. The only problem with Punishers is they're hard to come by and they're $1 million on the secondary market. So it's hard to Punishers. And they don't make a lot of them. To be honest with you, they don't make a lot of them. But yeah, I agree with you. The packages thing, what I do with the packages is I either hang them up on the wall to add some art to the wall. You know, it fills up the dead space. You don't want just like a bunch of boring wall to me. And I also, some of the packages, I use them as backgrounds on the shelves too. So I'll have the figures in front and I'll have packages with figures that go with that in the back. And then you also have the artwork on the packages. because some of the artwork on these boxes is incredible, and it's definitely a great background for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've started doing that with more of like the open pieces that I have and like my statues. I'll put like a NECA box behind it because the artwork on the neck is really good, or something like that where that's in the background as like a display, and then I have the statue or whatever in the front, or that's out of the packaging. So and the other question I was going to ask you too is which you kind of already answered, but like some people that are collectors, they do. Um, they mainly focus on comic book version or cartoon version or movie version, or if they do tend to do all, they separate them. But you kind of answered that by saying you don't really have the space to separate, and you kind of just go based more on a theme.
Part I made for the D, my first passion. I do have a lot of areas in the room, like the TMNT stuff, the movie stuff. That's separate. It's not mixed with the Toon stuff for sure.
Oh, I see.
The DCUC stuff, which is the Batman and Superman stuff. I have a lot of that stuff. If I can help it, separate. The movie stuff is with the movie stuff, and then the animated and the comic book stuff is separate. But for me, it's DC, TMNT, and then Marvel. So I kind of have to, once you start to get down to those third and fourth tiers, and I love them all, don't get me wrong, you start to get pressed for space. So at that point, you're looking around, you're going, I just got to go by overall theme. Because one thing, and I'm not knocking on anybody that does this, but I've seen a lot of people's collections. They look fantastic, but it drives me absolutely freaking bananas when I see people who have Marvel and DC and Mortal Kombat all on the same shelf. It makes me go cross. And I'm not saying that anybody's wrong for doing that. Everybody, you set up your room the way you want. But for me, the way I have OCD, at least by overall theme, I cannot have Marvel and DC on the same exact shelf. That would drive me absolutely freaking crazy. Can't do it.
No, I agree with you on that aspect too, because of that. Because like I was saying, even with my stuff that's in the packages, I do separate them like that too. I put the Marvel on one shelf, DC on another shelf, and then the stuff that's open too. Now the whole like movie themes and cartoon themes and stuff like that, I don't separate those as much. I kind of just go with, if these are Ninja Turtles, they're together. If these are Batman, they're together. You know what I mean? I kind of stick with just going with the overall theme on as far as that goes. And the other thing too is like
you have a lot though, dude. Like I have a lot, but you have more. And to be honest, this is not everything I have, but even with the stuff I have put away and the stuff that I've given away over the years, you definitely have more. I don't know how the hell you do it. I don't know how you do it. This shit's driving me nuts, dude.
Yeah.
I don't do it.
Here's the thing. I have those moments where, like I said, right now I'm in the process of cleaning up the downstairs and reorganizing that. And I have those moments where I'm like, I need to get rid of this stuff. But then I have other moments where I'm digging through and I'm looking and I'm like, oh yeah, man, this piece is cool. And I remember that piece. That's a cool piece. And you kind of get excited looking at some of that stuff again, almost like you're finding them for the first time, you know? So I don't know. There's the frustration, but there's also the excitement of kind of seeing pieces again that you probably haven't seen in a little while. And the other thing too is like my wife's actually very big into Disney, actually, as is yours. And she has a bunch of Disney stuff that we both do, because I don't mind it myself. And sometimes you're going through it. Huh?
You got kicked out of Disney, didn't you?
I tried grabbing Goofy.
Yeah.
They don't like that. But I don't know. It's fun. There's something about it, like especially when you start like looking through pieces that you haven't seen in a while, setting them up, and just seeing as the collection starts to come together. Because as you start to collect, you'll start to see that, like, you have, for example, Batman over here, and you had Batman on a shelf over here because you ran out of room on this side. So then once you start taking things apart, cleaning it, and moving it around, now you see all the Batman together, all the Spider-Man together. And it just looks so uniformed and so nice. Like, It's nice, man.
I'm laughing because I've had so many times over the course of almost 30 years where I'll put something there because that's just where I have a spot for it.
Yep.
And then when I rearrange things and I'll fix it and I'll go, well, why the hell didn't I do that in the first place?
Right.
And then that was just stupid and lazy.
Yep.
But yeah, now that you're saying that you've done it, I think everybody can relate to that. Like right now, I have figures from haul videos that, like I was just telling you before we started shooting, that from a week ago that I still haven't opened, and I'm sitting there going, oh dear God,
Yeah.
where?
See, that's another thing too. Like once you start accumulating stuff, you then get to that. You sometimes get into that mindset where you're like, I'll put it in its proper spot next time. But then before next time comes around, you just added another 10 figures to your collection. So now you have to find proper spots for that. And that's another thing too. I don't know about you personally, but I know for me, I'm getting to the point where I see stuff come out, and just the thought of having to rearrange the shelf to make them fit where they're supposed to, I'm just like, you know what, forget it. I don't want it that bad. And I just let it go.
Yes. Yeah. And here's the other thing. Do you get that like knot? You know what I mean? Like, oh God, no.
Yes.
Don't to me. Like, that's a really cool thing. You know what? And you start thinking about it, and it almost gives you like that lately anyway, for me, I feel like I want to throw up and I start to develop a migraine. Yeah. And I'm like, all this shit just to make room for those 5 figures, man. I just don't want to do it.
The collector's cold sweats.
Yeah. Dry heaving and cold sweats, dude.
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you right now, man, I've had it happen where I'm sitting there and I see pieces that are cool, and I'm just like, you know what? I don't want to rearrange stuff, and I don't want to try to squeeze them in there, so I'm just going to let them, unless it's something I really absolutely want. Like recently, we were talking about this before too, Neca just re-released in a pre-order the quarter-scale 1989 Batman, the Catwoman from Batman Returns, and the Penguin. I missed out on these the first time. I am not missing out on them again. I already pre-ordered them, especially the Batman. I love that Batman. I made a mistake of letting it go last time, because I actually me and you were in the store, and you pointed him out to me. And then I passed up on him because I just had gotten started into Neck at that time, and I was focused on the Turtles. And then I missed out on the Batman. But he came back, and I'll find room for him. I don't care. I'll find a spot for him. So certain ones like that, you kind of have an exception for. But it has to get to that level. Whereas other ones where you're kind of like, oh, they're cool, but I don't know. Just let them go. Just let them go.
It's getting to the point already for both of us where there's a lot of good stuff coming out. There's no question about it. All these companies are improving. Even Mattel. I mean, I know I bring them up almost in every video, but this
I'm
time
making a drinking game on it.
No drinking game.
Every time you say Mattel, I'm going to take a shot, dude.
But this is a positive thing. Like what they're doing with the Origins line, and I know that they're going to be bringing back the Classics line. And when you look at the Masters of the Universe Classics figures that they did, that line went for like 10 or 12 years. And they did a fantastic job with that line for 10 or 12 years and at a $20 price point. So, and you look at the Origin figures, it's got the old style vintage buck, but with today's slight sculpt, slightly better sculpt, but holds true to the traditional look, but with updated articulation. And so I love those. Just you can't find them. Freaking Walmart, can't find them. But Walmart and scalpers, they need to rot in hell, die of gonorrhea and rot in hell.
Right. Good line from Ace Ventura right there.
Yeah, like but they are doing a good job. Like, so they're all improving. But back onto the original point, they're all improving. But it's gotten to the point, and I don't want to speak for you, but I know you well enough to know that we have to stop being selective. Like, we can't do the impulse buys like I just did with the Spawn, with the Mace. But I did that to prove a point, and that is,
that you'll buy anything?
No, it's not that I'll buy anything. It's to prove a point that in my videos and even in this video, I'll do it again on this channel because it's like sister stations here, my friend, That's just lazy. That's not a variant. All you're doing is giving them a different freaking weapon. come on. And you know, it's kind of disappointing because McFarlane is better than that. He takes a lot of pride into everything, every license that he gets. But I feel like for that figure, it's like he's got to the point where he's just trying to make a quick buck now. And idiots like me, but I didn't buy it because, oh, I love that figure so much, I got to have two of them. I don't care. No, I bought it. I can kind of like stop being lazy. You know what I mean? You know, if you're going to make them with a different weapon, at least make them battle damage. Do something, dude. Change up the figure a little bit.
Yeah, it's very unlike him. It was kind of weird. Funko's big on that too, where they'll do the same sculpt and just do like a different paint job or something. But
yeah,
and that's one of those things. Like we were talking about the collections. That's one of those things. Like I'm a big Funko collector. I won't do that. If I get one version of the Funko Pop, then that's it. Like if they release a glow in the dark version, a flocked version, a metallic version, or whatever, I just pick one and that's it. I don't have the room or the money to get 8 different versions of the exact same sculpt, just with different paint jobs. You know what I mean? What's your take on that?
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
Like we talked about the animated Batman when you called me from Walmart. We talked about this in a couple of episodes ago, where you're like, "You sure you don't want the animated Batman in blue?" I'm like, "Dude, if I had more space, yes, but it's getting to the point where I have to say no." And normally I would have said yes because it's Batman. That's my first passion right there. But it's getting to the point where it's like it's a good figure, but it's not the figure. And that's where I've gotten down to the point of is only the ones that I believe deep down that are must-haves. You know what I mean? It's not like it once was where it's like, that's a cool figure, I'm getting that one. And that's a cool figure, and I'm getting that one. No, I don't have the space for that anymore. I just don't.
Now, here's a question that I think every collector can relate to. How often, or I should say, what's the biggest mistake where you bought a figure, you then go home and go, why the hell did I buy this figure? Do you even have one like that where you're like, you bought something, you were kind of like, I don't even really like this. Why did I buy this?
Not that I don't like it. It was the one I just talked about, the Spawn with the mace. I bought it for a reason, which was to put it in the figure hall, but also to give a little zinger to McFarlane. And when I got home, I'm like, I could have gotten the Black Series Boba Fett, Empire Strikes Back, and I left that figure, which I don't have, to get this one just to throw a zinger at McFarlane. So I was kind of annoyed.
Yep, I hear that, dude. For me, it would be when I first started collecting Funko. I got all caught up in the hype with like the Comic-Cons that they did, and I remember they released 2 Dragon Ball Z ones from the Comic-Cons, and they looked awesome. I jumped on the computer, bought them right away. Then they came in, and I was like, I don't even know anything about Dragon Ball Z. Why did I buy these 2 pieces? I just got caught up in the hype. Now I have 2 Dragon Ball Z pieces downstairs that I know nothing about.
I think we've all done that because you it was the Dragon Ball Z, and me it was the Fortnite. I've never even played the goddamn game. You know what I mean? And I got like 3 or 4 Fortnite figures, and I ended up passing them on to my son. I'm like, what am I doing? I don't even like Fortnite. I mean, they're cool looking figures, but that's not my thing. So there you go, buddy. Enjoy.
And they don't fit the theme either. That's another thing too. Like as my collection grows, I keep looking and I'm seeing, and you start to see like a sore thumb here and there, and that's when you're kind of like, all right, well that's got to go, because it doesn't make any sense to have all this certain type of action figure statues or whatever, and then all of a sudden you got this one random one, and unless you really love it, there's no point keeping it.
I have that. It's in the bedroom. I have a couple, but the one that comes to mind is the Mafex John Wick, Chapter 2. He doesn't have room in here. He doesn't fit within it in here. But you know what? I saw that figure and I'm like, I have to get it because I love those movies. They're badass, and I had to get that figure. But there's no room in here. It didn't tie into anything in here. So it's in the bedroom.
Yeah. Here's the thing with that. At least my personal opinion, that's a little bit different because movies. I mean, there's only so much like like I don't know, it's weird to explain. Like for me, I have like for example, I have like a V for Vendetta NECA figure downstairs. It's only the one figure, but that was an amazing movie. So I was very happy to add that, and that thing ain't going anywhere. I have a 300 figure downstairs from Leonidas, also from NECA. That's not going anywhere either. Like I don't know what it is, but for me personally, movies are the exception to that rule, where it's like I'll gladly add like one or two pieces of like an awesome movie, and that excludes that rule for me. You know what I mean?
It's funny that you mentioned that. The Mayfex down here is in my the bedroom, which my wife let me have a little spot with a shelf to put the odds and ends figures.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. The V for Vendetta from NECA is next to the John Wick because it's an odd figure.
Yeah.
It's such a figure and it's a great movie. I also have Kratos from God of War.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
From NECA. He's in there.
Yep.
So there's a couple of odds and end ones in there, and I mean that's not from a movie; it's from a game. But I walk around the house. Sometimes I'll grab the figure. I'm like, it's my Kratos.
You know,
Right,
dude. But you know what though? Like for me, I have like a movie shelf. You know what I mean? And a video game shelf where I do put. So for me, my collection actually became included in it. So it's not so much focused like with the other stuff where it's like Batman or DC, Spider-Man and Marvel. This was just, it's not only one video game character or only one movie character. It's just legitly movies and video games. You know what I mean? So I'll have like a Zelda in there. I'll have a Link in there. I'll have a Mario, Kratos, like you said. And that's pretty much, I just have that like one representation of that character. And that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? Like that's how I do it.
yeah. So, but what do you do? Here's a question for you though, because I have some statues, and my method. I mean, I use the statues as centerpieces on shelves, and I've used them in cabinets before. I have some right here, but how do you? You're predominantly statues, correct? You do have figures, but you have more statues, correct?
Yeah, if you count the out of the package stuff, yes.
Right. So how does that work? How do you make that work? Because I am predominantly figures. I have statues mixed in, but that's easier to do. But when you have a lot of statues like you do,
Yeah.
How do you set those up? How does that work?
That's actually a good question. I didn't even think to go down that route. But honestly, what I do is it kind of like what I tend to like right now I have like I have a shelf with a couple of Batman statues on there, and then right next to them I have a couple of the Jokers. So it's kind of like hero villain, you know what I mean? With Spider-Man, I try to do the same thing, like Spider-Man, but right next to him will be like Carnage, Venom, Goblin. You know what I mean? Like I kind of like to do almost like a theme where it's instead of just having one shelf where it's just one character, it's him and his villains. Or if I don't have enough, what I tend to do is I'll put like a statue, maybe one or two like in the middle, and then I'll put the figures around it. So I will have shelves where it will be figure and statue, but it has to depend on the space and how the theme is going with it too. You know what I mean? But,
Fair enough.
yeah.
We do things a little bit different in that area because in some instances I have just shelves that are just the heroes, and then I have a shelf right below that's just the villains. I have done it the way that you're doing it with the statues with figures as well too, but I try to separate that. Although I just contradicted myself because right now I'm looking at a shelf right now that has villains and heroes mixed in. So so I try to mix it up. I don't stick with any one formula. It's whatever mood I'm in that day when I'm doing that shelf, and that's how it ends up coming out. And until I clean it and change things around again, the only way it'll change is if I'm in a different mood, which usually does happen. And then I'll be like, you know what? I don't want this like this anymore. And I think we all do that, though, to be honest.
Yeah, of course, because the thing is, like I was telling you, with the stuff that's in the packages, I have a shelf that's just Batman, and then another one with just Spider-Man. But once they're out of the packages, I tend to, like, you know, if there's not enough to do one full shelf, I mix in the bad guys. Because the way I look at it is, it's Spider-Man and his whole show. You know what I mean? Like all of his characters involved, or Batman with all of his show. The one thing I won't do is you won't see a shelf that has like Batman and Wolverine. That very rarely happens. Unless I have no room, that won't happen.
That drives me, man.
It could be Wolverine fighting Batman, dude.
Well, listen, that's taking photography or something like that. Or if you have like a big fight, a shelf where it's a big fight scene, and because people do that, and they have those dynamic stands that you don't like, and they have them these sick fighting poses, which they have to use those stands that you don't like, and they look good. But unless it's something like that, but if you have him like just in a basic pose, looking like pissed off, like he's about to rip your head off, right. I have Wolverine and Batman on the same shelf right next to each other. That's my personal opinion. It doesn't mean that I'm right, and it doesn't mean that people that do that they're wrong. I just, to me, my would never allow it. I can't do it.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line is it comes down to space and then how the figures look. That's pretty much what it comes down to, or the statues, whatever. Because I mean, like I said, I have some shelves where it's just the statues. Then I have other shelves that have statues and figures. So it's just, I don't know, just like you said, the mood you're in, and then kind of how you do it.
I got one more question. Respawn granted.
Sure.
Do you ever mix your statues with your figures on the same shelf?
I've done it, yeah. I do it. It's I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a huge fan of doing it though, to be honest with you, just because they're different like materials and different sizes and stuff. So, but I have done it. Although I'm not gonna lie, the like NECA figures, they tend to blend in pretty well, and like the more detailed ones. Whereas when you look at like the more like cartoony style ones, those I don't do it. I don't really like how they look with like a serious statue. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I mean, it's you know, because they're two different things. Like I said, I'll try to keep them separate, but there has been times where I'm like, you know what, that figure just looks good right there next to that guy, and then you just put him there, you know.
I'm gonna put you on the spot. You're probably gonna curse me out after this video. Okay. I'm gonna put you on the spot now.
All right.
I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
I'm gonna do it. So coming very soon, pending this freaking COVID thing, coming very soon, we're going to be seeing a collection room tour from you.
Oh yeah, yeah. The one that I've been talking about doing for like over a year now. Yeah, yeah. That's coming soon. Absolutely. Just don't hold your breath. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I personally, to be honest with you, dude, if it wasn't for the COVID-19 thing, you'd be done already. Because I would have pushed you into it, dude. I would have pushed you into it. And listen, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Because I'm good at doing it. I know I am. And I'm passionate about it. You would lead the way. I would just be there to assist. But life gets in the way a lot. And both of us have a lot of pressure on our plates. So it's like, yeah, it's when I get to it. And it's just, it never gets there. But I want that. I want that on your channel.
Yeah,
I want it. I want to.
I want to do it too. One of the things I do though is I want to get some of those glass cases that you have in your back area there with your figures. I need some of those because I actually found figures downstairs that I do want to actually open up, but I want to put them somewhere like a glass case like you have. And once I get that, I think that's what will really help get the ball rolling. But what I can do probably sooner than later is do a tour of the downstairs, which is actually coming along really well with all the package stuff. And speaking of tours, I think did you recently upload one about your new room as well? I think I saw something.
I'm glad you just to make it clear to everybody, that video is 10 months old. The room does not look like that. Okay. The collection room has grown considerably. I've moved stuff around. So there is going to be an updated one coming within the next few weeks, but it's going to be a 4-part video. It is going to be DC, TMNT, Marvel, which is the biggest real estate I have, and then it will be, the 4th one will be everything else. The Masters of the Universe, the Mortal Kombats, the Spawns, and the G.I. Joes, and the Star Wars, and the Predators, and the horror. So that'll be the last one, which those, like the sci-fi is just one shelf. Star Wars is one shelf. Mortal Kombat's one shelf. Spawn is two shelves, and that's because I have a lot of it put away.
Right.
And the horror, one detour. So one video, because what I'm doing is the first one was about 20 minutes long, but the collection was smaller. I had just moved in here.
Right.
So now it's big. It's the room is the same size, but I've put more shelving in. There's more stuff on the walls hanging up that wasn't there before. I've added a lot of figures. So I'm going to break it up into 4 parts so that way the videos are shorter. So that way it's not too long, because I know for a fact people go, oh, dude, I don't care how good your collection is. I'm not watching 50 minutes of this shit. I'm just not doing it. It's a little crazy. My wife is starting to look at me going, you're running out of room and you're not putting anything else in the bedroom.
Yeah, I hear that. It's fun to look at, but it becomes expensive and it's a pain in the butt to clean.
Yeah, but here's the problem, though. At least for me, and I know you're the same way. We love to do this because, and I know this is kind of a little off topic because we talked about how to sell homes, but it kind of all comes back to the same thing. We do this on this platform, and I do it on Instagram. Those are the 2 main platforms that I use because I love this stuff. I love this community. We grew up walking around just talking about this stuff. So that's when we decided, why not do it on YouTube channels? Because we used to do it before anyway.
Right.
And now we have an audience, and we just want to have an audience, and we want to have feedback. We could care less about whether we make money. We don't care. We're not doing it for money. If we do, I'm not going to say that we're going to turn it down. I would never say that. But I could give a rat's hiney whether I get to 1,000 subscribers in 4,000 hours. I just want to have a good-sized audience that is passionate about the videos as I am making them for them. Right. So, and you're the same way. That's why we do these together on your channel, and there's going to be other ones coming where we're doing it together on alternating on my channel and your channel.
Right.
Which figure hunt videos. So stay tuned for that, guys, because me and this man right here are going to be making some people laugh, because we're definitely, when we're together out on the stores, we've been known to cause a little bit of trouble, but not trouble that hurts anybody, but it's just funny.
Yeah.
And it's something that we've decided to do together. I've said it on my channel, and now I'm saying it on this channel because it's our channel. Real Batman is Respawn Granted. Respawn Granted is Real Batman. We work together. We're family. We've always done things together, and that's always going to stay that way. And so definitely the figure hunt videos are going to be like 4 a month, 2 on Respawn Granted, and 2 will be on Real Batman. But it's going to be us doing them, and then I hope you guys are going to like them whenever we decide to. It really depends on the whole COVID-19 thing and how bad it gets. It's going to depend on how soon we do them, and if we even do them in the near future, because it depends on how bad it gets.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, that COVID-19 is a big problem right now, because if it wasn't for that, me and you had talked about it a couple months ago, going to get some of those glass cases for my collection and setting them up, because you have experience in them and you know how to do them, and it's a 2-person job and stuff. So we were supposed to do this months ago, but it just seems like this is sticking around. This whole COVID thing is not going away anytime soon. So that's part of the reason why we haven't done that. Yeah, yeah.
It's getting worse. Right. So I know remember on things, especially like figure hunt videos. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that are doing them, but we both have people at home with compromised immune systems, and we have to think about that first before anything else. As much as we love doing this for the fun and to entertain people, but we have to think about our loved ones that have compromised immune systems. Segments, when we do those figure hunts, we will be pointing out how bad Walmart and Target sucks ass, and they suck ass.
Yeah, yeah. You're gonna be seeing a lot of empty pegs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And loaded gondola bases. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Terrible.
I know.
And and we will point out. I know I will. I'll be holding the camera most of the time, so I mean we'll be off, but I
Yeah.
will be pointing out how pleasant the Walmart employees really are.
Oh boy, that's gonna be a whole episode just on its own right there. We might not find any figures, but you will see the people. Um,
But you got anything on things that how you set up or any other things that you'd like to share for the collection or no?
no, I think that's pretty much it, man. I think we nailed it. I mean, we're two different collectors, but there's a lot of similarities, and it seems to be pretty common theme. You know, we kind of try to stick with certain characters and certain licenses, and not worry so much about size or brand. Whereas I know other people, they do focus more on company and size of the figures, whereas we don't.
No, we kind of like a mixed bag, so definitely. And I prefer it that way actually because it's to me it's not boring. To me, if you collect one scale only, it starts to get boring. Because when I started collecting, I was like that, and it started to get boring. And only when I started getting quarter scales, 1/6 scales, like stats mixed in a couple of statues where those are also bigger scales, that's when I'm like, all right, we got something here. I could do something with this. Like I could have my centerpieces on every single shelf, and that's just that's the way I like to set them up. And there's no wrong way to do this. It's however you like to set up and whatever you like to do. But for I know for us, that's the way that we do it.
Yeah, because you end up missing out on a lot of things too. Like, oh, that figure's so awesome, but it's not in my scale. Like, who cares? Just get it if you really like it.
That's the way I look at it. Beast Kingdom, there's no more odd scale than Beast Kingdom, which is an 8-inch figure. That's a very odd scale, but I could care less. I practically have every single one that's been released because
Yeah,
I love their figures.
yeah, and
So
that's what should matter. If you love it, then there you go. You add it to the collection. You'll find a spot for it.
yep, absolutely.
But
So anything else?
no, no, I'm good,
Yep,
man. So
me too.
all right. So thank you guys very much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Check out his channel, Real Batman. Subscribe to my channel, Respawn Granted, and take care, guys. Stay safe.
A lot of content coming on both these channels.
That's right.